Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Inside Rovers Away Days preview. Joining me to look ahead to this weekend's game against Portsmouth in Sky Bet League One, former editor of the Doncaster Free Press, Liam Hoden, and Rovers defender Ben Jackson. Ben, two successive starts for you against big opposition. Maybe in line for a third one this weekend, a trip to Portsmouth, and after the win at Sunderland last weekend, confidence must be high that we can go to grounds like this and get a result.
Yeah, I think that result last week gave us a massive boost. I think playing in front of that crowd, that atmosphere, I think gave us that confidence that we can go there and play our style and make our style affect other teams. And obviously we'll hope to use that again this weekend and get a result.
Although it wasn't the result you were looking for on Tuesday night, a game where, although the first goal went against you, it would have been easy to go under, wouldn't it? But Rovers didn't do that. It stayed at 1-0, and then even right at the end with a corner, Rovers were right in the game, and it shows that there is that sort of mental stability, if you like, within games, that toughness to keep going and not let things get to you too much.
Yeah, I think that probably comes again with the Sunderland game. That confidence was, even when we go 1-0 down, is you're never out of a game. I think you've got to keep your heads high and you've just got to back yourselves that as long as you keep it to 1 and 2s, you can always claw back. And I feel like we did well defensively after that first goal, and we never let our heads go down, and we always kept ourselves in that game. And right into the last minute, as you say, we're always there.
How have you found it the last couple of games? I know you had a couple of substitute appearances to start off with, maybe a bit of time to get to know the place and the people. What's it been like the last couple, getting your feet firmly under the table and a couple of starts under your belt?
Yeah, it's been massive for me. I think the main thing for me when I came out was I wanted to experience starting these big games, like you say, the Sunderlands and the Portsmouths. I wanted to get involved and be playing 90 minutes week in, week out. So being able to do that the last couple of weeks and starting to get the experience under my belt, get to know the lads better, I think the more I play, the more I'll enjoy it, the better I'll get, and hopefully the squad will keep improving too.
Liam, these away wins, a bit like London buses, aren't they? You wait all season for one and then you get two in a matter of weeks. What's been the key for you in turning that fortune around? Because it has been a season of two halves in the way Rovers have picked up points. We saw before Christmas the home form was good and away form nowhere near good enough, whereas now the away form's good, but the home form isn't quite matching it. What do you put that down to on the road?
I think the approach in the last two games has been spot on. You know, everybody's been massively switched on, which has been really important against two very good teams, two of the top teams in the division. So you've had that resolve, that determination not to concede, and that's been important. But again, Rovers last weekend at Sunderland could have been even more comfortable at half-time than what they were, and they would have fully deserved that because of how they used the ball. You know, a lot of hard work and tenacity in midfield, getting the ball forward early, looking to release players, not moving the ball forward and open for the best. It's been very, considered and that nice early ball forward, as we saw with the goal for Rio Griffiths last week. And I think I think the base for it all has been this exceptional work rate in these two away games that's really carried them on.
Ben, as a back four and as a unit, I suppose for you, when you get the ball and you're under pressure a little bit, you need an out ball, don't you? Especially, I suppose, for you on the flank, you need to see people running into channels, especially away from home, when the last thing you want as a defensive line is the ball to be coming straight back at you. Yeah,
of course, and it's difficult because you go to these teams that you know are going to be, good on the ball, and they're going to try and keep you in. And it's vital for us that when we get the ball, we can be either relaxed or, like we did at Sunderland, get onto that counter-attack quickly. I think we did it perfectly at Sunderland. Every time we won the ball back, we posed them a threat. I think that created a problem for them as they couldn't attack us as aggressively because we obviously were posing that threat. Whereas if we were just giving it straight back to them, it'd probably give them confidence to attack us. So yeah, that's massive. It's just that knowing when we win the ball back, we can impose ourselves. Yeah.
Seeing the impact of the Sunderland crowd last week as well, it was a great atmosphere before kickoff, wasn't it? And once you got through those first 10, 15 minutes and showed that it wasn't all going to go plain sailing for Sunderland, the crowd switched, and then it was them that felt uncomfortable, wasn't it? It was clear to see that as the game went on and the crowd got more frustrated, we grew in confidence and Sunderland went into their shell a little bit. Portsmouth, very similar in terms of how the atmosphere you think will be before the game. But the fact you've done that to Sunderland shows that you can go anywhere and do similar.
Yeah, definitely. I think that was one of the main things that Gaffer said leading into the Sunderland game was we know it's going to be loud. We know they're all going to be excited and get behind the team. But if we can keep them quiet, we can slow them down. The fans will start to get onto their backs. And that, like you say, switches the pressure onto them more than it does to us. So I think we use that in our favour at Sunderland and we've got a plan to use it again at Portsmouth.
And although Liam, Portsmouth aren't quite in that pack of playoff chasers, they're 11 points off the top six. Maybe they're going to need a really good run, aren't they, to get in there. It's still a really tough place to go and one of the best grounds really to visit as an away player in the division.
Yeah, it's a wonderful place to go and watch a football game. I'm sure it's exactly the same for the lads going and playing there as well. Yeah, it's not particularly gone well for Portsmouth as well as they would have hoped. They would have firmly seen themselves at the start of the season within that playoff mix, if not the automatic one as well. So I think the opportunity to frustrate the crowd's definitely going to be there. They're not going to be very happy at all with the position that Portsmouth find themselves in at the minute. So if Rovers go and get on top, as we've seen them do on several occasions in recent years, there's been some fantastic games and some real fantastic performances for Rovers down at Fratton Park in recent years. There's every opportunity there for Rovers to go and get another very notable result on the road.
It's been a bit of a revamp for Danny Cowley in January, of course. John Marquis left the club. Paul Downing was let to go out on loan, and then they brought in players like Tyler Walker, Hayden Carter at the back as well. Still trying, I think, Danny Cowley, isn't he, to really get a side that reflects the way he wants Portsmouth to play.
Yeah, it's a big transformation. You know, he's got a very, very distinctive style, and Portsmouth have not necessarily had that. They've it's felt a little bit like they've been meandering on for a few years. They've always had that bit of quality and the power in this division to be up there, but without being one of the real big hitters of the division in terms of the strength. And yeah, you'd like to think if Danny Cowley can get through to the end of the season and probably I think they'll certainly be looking to next season now to make a real good go of it, that he would have a big impact over the summer. And this January felt like the early stages of clearing the decks to allow him to really put that together. So you'd back him probably if he's still in charge as they head into next season and he does get the opportunity to get his teeth into that squad, that there'll be a strong force again next season.
One player it looked like they were going to get rid of in January was Michael Jacobs, heavily linked with Rovers. I think Gary McSheffrey openly admitted that there were conversations taking place. Since then, in particular, he's found a real rich vein of form. He scored in his last 3 league outings, and a player Rovers and Ben and the defensive unit will have to be very wary of come Saturday.
They certainly will. It's funny how things pan out. You know, he looked like he were very much on his way out of Portsmouth, didn't really have much opportunity, but as things go, as other players have moved on, as there've been injuries, he's had an opportunity and he's certainly taken that and he's become an important player for them over the last few weeks. So yeah, one for Rovers to have an eye on. You'd like to think with Gary McSheffrey sort of speaking about the links and how much they'd had a look at Michael Jacobs, they'll know all about him. So they'll be well briefed on his strengths. So yeah, it's an interesting one, that one.
Ben, as a young lad, I'm sure growing up, Portsmouth will have been sort of Premier League when you were watching football as a youngster at that level. So to go and play a game at Fratton Park must be quite exciting for you as well, given everything you hear about the atmosphere down there.
Yeah, it's special, and that's one of the biggest things about going out on loan is you get these opportunities, these clubs that probably shouldn't be where they are, and they've been a lot higher up in years previous. So you get that real feel of big crowds and big expectations within those crowds. And yeah, it is really special. Like Sunderland, to have 38,000 there was obviously something I've never experienced before. So all these new experiences are really special and I'm learning from every time, yeah.
Of course, you're one of 8 new signings in January. It's the first long away trip, really, where the boys will be stopping over on Friday night. Will there be a couple of lads on chairs with bottles in hands singing the old karaoke songs?
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll be one of them, to be fair. I think yeah, that's just part and parcel of it. I think I've done it before, so just got to get on with it.
And the fact that the lads can get together, and of course in COVID times and it's all been a bit up in the air over the past year or two, hasn't it? To have a Friday night where everyone travels down, everyone's on the bus, a bit more time to get to know people who you might not have had chance to really in the first couple of weeks at the club.
Yeah, definitely. But I think for me, all the lads have been really welcoming. I think they've been speaking to me, asking me questions, like telling things about themselves. I think I've been able to settle in really well because of that. I think, like you say, though, a little trip and the overnight gives the opportunity to spend more time together, bond more, and that can only help us on the pitch.
And on the pitch then, where do you see it being key on Saturday? What do we need to do you feel, as a group, to go and get that result at Fratton Park?
I think we've just got to stick to our strengths. I think we have to be aware of the threats they pose, but not get too overwhelmed with that like we did at Sunderland. Just know what we can do to hurt them and use that to exploit them.
Liam, do you feel if Rovers can match the levels they've found in the last two away games, then a third on the bounce in terms of victories may well be there for the taking?
Definitely. I think if they can produce, certainly if they produce what they have in these last two, they've got a fantastic chance against a Portsmouth side that they're a bit vulnerable at the minute. But even without that, we've seen against two very, very good teams what Rovers are capable of. I think perhaps in midweek it showed that against Ipswich, they can't afford to not be at that level. Difficult producing it Saturday, Tuesday. I fully understand that, but yeah, go and produce it again, and 3 points. It wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't. These but people will have been surprised by these last two away results. If they keep producing what they have produced, it'll stop being a surprise.